were told every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit.
Crossroads, life's tolls, life goes. I gotta win. W my lot. Damn, you can't rewind.
Hey, how are you guys doing today? This is your host Sonya with the Remember Who You Are 222 podcast. I have my guest Latoya Zavala here with me today. She's actually somebody I served with in the military. It's funny because that truck I was pushing is right in front of 9th Com Battalion. That's where we work together.
I recognized it.
Yeah, I was like, I knew you would too. I was like, but yeah, I'm super excited to have her on today because I used to go to her when I was in the military to talk to her. So all right, just to introduce her a little bit. So she's been transforming lives for 20 years. She's a former U.S. Navy chaplain, now serving the global community as an energy mastery coach and a Vedic astrologer. She helps conscientious women leaders clear their real blocks and know themselves on a mastery level so that they can create their next level of freedom and power. Okay, so Latoya, please tell our listeners what's your story and how you kind of came into doing what you do now.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, thank you. I fully appreciate being on your podcast. I fully appreciate what it means to be in the space together. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. And I just wanted to say, as I was looking at that video and I was looking at the parking lot of 9th Com, I was like, how crazy is it? Right? All the twists and turns that life
right
have, and that now you and I are on this podcast in like completely different capacities.
Yeah, a whole different
like we're just it's so crazy. Which I so fully appreciate. I am so privileged. I'm so honored and I absolutely love it. So let me just say that. How did I get here? So when I was 5, I'll say real quick, when I was 5, I came from a very conservative Christian family. And I remember being 5 and being at the back of the church and looking at the pulpit and saying out loud, that's who I am. That's what I'm going to do. And being surrounded by elders and people who loved me and cared for me and also proceeded to laugh to say that women don't do that. So go ahead and find your plan B and your plan A, your plan B and plan C. And I have always heard that throughout my life. So fast forwarding, I was always searching for what that thing could be because spiritual leadership, I was told and I believed, could not be it. Right. So weaving and turning and through all that searching, I also had some tragedies that happened in my life. And so at the time I was victim of sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, molestation, and all of those things for most of my early childhood. And which then set me up, groomed me to then enter a domestic violent relationship. And I entered that relationship when I was about 16. I think that's about right. Maybe about 15, 16. And moved and lived with that person and was in a domestic violent relationship for years. Throughout that time, I also was experiencing suicidal behavior. So, suicidal thoughts, just really lost, right? And in victimhood. And coming out of that relationship I fully knew and fully understood that my desire, my calling, my purpose was to help other women like me. I went through a lot of things to heal. I went through the conventional method. I was on medication. I was hospitalized in mental hospital, mental professionals. I had a counselor, I had a pastoral counselor, I had a psychiatrist, I had a psychologist, I had therapists, I did hypnotherapy, and lots of things, and still felt like I didn't get what I need. And because I felt like that and really felt like there are other women like me, there are other women who are experiencing or experienced what I experienced, and they're not getting what they need. Not that any of those things were bad, but that it's just not what they needed for their own healing experience. The only way that I knew to access that at the time, because of my upbringing, was to become a minister, right? Which is what I saw when I was 5. So I did that. And all of my degrees are that. My undergrad, my master's, my postgraduate, all my degrees are theology, pastoral, clinical pastoral, all of those things. It's always been who I've been. And so I did that. You knew me in that capacity. I was a chaplain in the military. And before that, I was a chaplain in the hospital, and really connected to helping women who would experience these things, and helping women, well, of course, men and women, all likes, right, who are experiencing these things and were experiencing the depression, the suicidal behaviors and things, and became, certified in helping in those things. And then there was a break that happened. I think a natural, what my son and I call a Canon event, right? And Marvel, right? A Canon event, natural branching. Like there was, of course, little things along the way, like there's more, there's an expansion coming, there's something different, there's something more. And the Canon event is the death of George Floyd and subsequent things that happened. So George Floyd died, and then Vanessa, remember Vanessa died, and it was all the sequence that happened, and us being in the military, and the way that the messaging came down through the military, and the way that the military was handling it. And I'm not downing, I'm just saying I was not aligned anymore.
Yeah.
I was different. And I just felt I could not be in that energy in the capacity that I was in any longer. I just couldn't hold it. And we were also coming out of, I think, COVID at the time. So there was a lot of isolation that was happening, right? So all the internal work that was happening, I just saw things differently. I started hearing things differently. And right?
Yeah.
I just, when an order came down for officers and chaplains to be like this and, provide this messaging and things, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like even when I used to see you, it was like there was a certain box you had to stay within.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it started feeling like I'm helping people be free, but free enough to stay in the box. And that became not enough for me. Right. Yeah. And I feel there are some people, there are people who are still called to that, right? That's their calling, and that's okay. We need people, we need lights in all corners. But for me, I knew my expansion was expanding out of that. And when I was expanding out of that, it was like a total expand. It was like you're expanding out of the military, out of your position, out of your religion, out of your belief system. Like it was like shatter. It wasn't scrap. It was shatter. It's like
yeah. Yeah, because I feel like, at least from what I remember, I feel like I saw that you got out. And then it was like all this goddess stuff, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
You're like, "Where'd that come from?"
Like, okay, I love it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because I really want to address that too. Because, okay, so in the military, or for people who are listening who may not be in the military, it's not like in corporate where you get to give a 2-week notice or a 30-week notice. It's no, from the moment you decide it's time for me to get out, that there's like a whole year that spans between that, right? Like
I decided it was like 2 years when I decided. I was like, I'm getting out. I was like, I'm not staying.
Right.
I had 2 years to like build I thought I was building something up, but that turned out, it's not about me today though. So
but yeah, we can get into that too. But I felt, so for us, from the moment you decide to get out, there's a really long journey. There's a long, both internal and external processing that happens. And so for me, the expanding out of religion, my denomination and religion, and expanding out of some of those beliefs and understandings, though it looked to people like I got out and it was like, it was a year. It was a year long of going into the dark, going into internal processing, going into the womb, going into, this liminal space, doing the self-work. I was doing I was in physical pain, right? I was diagnosed with some degenerative arthritis and things. So in that whole year, I was also doing physical work on myself. I was looking for a massage therapist in my area. Turned out that she also did Reiki. I had no idea what Reiki was. I had no idea. And if I did, I maybe not would have gone, because this is something that I had been preaching against my entire life. Right?
So it had to come at a certain angle.
You know what I'm saying? So, and even though I was expanding out of that, I still probably wouldn't have gone, because I'm like, I don't, right? And I had such a profound experience my first 2 times at Reiki. I had such a profound experience, not only physical, right? Physical was, yes, I felt release in the pain in my neck. I understood that the release in the pain of my neck was emotional, that I was holding anger, that I was holding emotional pain. I even had a past life regression experience, was not the intention, but the pain was so intense that we ended up going there. It made sense to me. It was the only thing that made sense to me, because I had all the things. The steroid shots wasn't working. I had auricular acupuncture. It was super painful, didn't work. I did all the things, and it was not working. And for Reiki to have such a profound effect, it was just the only thing that made sense. So now here I am, a Christian minister, pastor, wearing the cross, in uniform, and having my own expansion, but having my own spiritual crisis, because I'm like, what the is this? What is this? And why is it working? Right? So that whole year, while I was doing the thing, and I won't say I was faking or performing, I was doing the thing. I mean, I was, I was invested, and I was loyal, and always the intention was to help the men and women in uniform heal as much as they can. Always the intention. So I was true to that, but I was having my own internal healing, and I was also honoring that. And it was quiet, and it was behind doors. And it did cause crisis, because, in this career, I like I said, I was preaching against these things. I was baptizing people across the globe, right? Yeah. I'm in the military, right? I'm like, my whole Facebook entire global community was from her, that perspective. And I was expanding out of her, and I didn't know what to do with that, because I was expanding out of her into nothing. Right. Because I knew that most of my family is in that world also. And so, I was condemned, once they started to find out that I was not her anymore. Yeah. I was the fallen star. And I didn't, it's interesting because I started taking coaching clients, but I was not public and didn't post about it at all. And it's not because I was ashamed. It was because I was fearful of hurting the people that I had served. I didn't want to hurt them. So it was really, from that perspective, it was really, really difficult. It was soul-wrenching for me because I didn't want to throw other people, right, in emotional, depression or crises because they were under my care. And now I'm a different person. So I did a lot of Reiki. I did a lot of tapping. I did a lot of, all the things, soul searching and coaching. And, I had friends who had walked this exact path. I mean, 2 other friends that were ministers. One of them is now a Wiccan witch, right? And the other one, you know what I mean? Like this exact path, like they were the ones doing this, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different symbol. And so that community was important to me, doing the inner work, facing myself, facing my fears, facing the reality of expansion, the reality of growth, allowing myself to release and let go. That was the journey. And so falling into George Floyd and falling into Reiki throughout my own healing process as I was processing out of the military, whatever PTSD and the things that I was dealing with. And true to my nature, right? Because I'm a spiritual theologian anyway. When I found it, I was like, oh, I got to know what this is. I got to know what this is. And eventually my practitioner was like, I think you ought to attune. And really from there, I attuned, and then I got deeper into energy work, and I got deeper into tapping, and I got deeper into, and then Vedic astrology kind of just flowed in. Yeah. And it became less, so it went from, I really want to help people heal in non-conventional ways, because sometimes the conventional is just not aligned with what people need. It went from that to, I'm actually really here to help people be free. And in the nutshell, that was the journey. That was the journey.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is pretty crazy how it hits. I feel like mine hit pretty sudden. Like this spiritual awakening I had. Because I do remember at one point being like, I was a Christian, and so later on I had seen I just kept coming across all these like divinity tools and different things. Like they just kept coming to me somehow. And there was this girl who did tarot cards. And so I was just like, okay. Me and her had a few conversations about, and it's just crazy how it happens, and how well, it's like you have to like lose the whole identity that you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there are parts of it that will always remain in some shape or form, because they inform. Your experiences become part of your magic. Yeah. Yeah. I lamented for a long time that all my degrees were in pastoral theology, because I was like, now what?
Yeah.
Like I'm never going back to a church. I'm never going back into an organization. Now what? Right? We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in education and time and all the, and now what?
Yeah,
When
what made you finally decide to start your own business?
So it was the outworking. Okay, so it was the outworking of, okay, I know it's time for me to leave the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not in the military anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in the church. It's definitely not in any organization. So where is it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's me.
Yeah.
It was it was like, no, it's me. What actually happened was, when I was in the military, as a chaplain, when we're holding the highest level of confidentiality, there were conversations that were happening in my office that I knew other women needed to have, but they wouldn't come. And I knew they weren't having them anywhere. So the purpose of starting my podcast was, I want to bring the essence, the depths of these conversations, of my experience, of my contribution to the answer. I want to bring it somehow to these women who will never come to my office, but are wanting to have the conversation. How can I do that? And that was the podcast. So I started Freed and Powered Up while I was in the military, never intending to leave the military, never intending to have my own business. It literally was, how do I have a conversation with these women in uniform who will never come? And so the first episode was my story, my domestic violence story. And from there, right? Like getting married after that, and it being the pits because I was carrying so much baggage, right? And what comes with that, and sexual relations, and trying to navigate this, a new relationship when you're still carrying the baggage, how to, new ways, different ways of, working through it and healing. And I started to bring in some guests who were talking about things differently. I really just wanted that conversation for them. So when I started to process out and I was continuing the podcast, it was just like starting my own business was like the expansion of the podcast, right?
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
I feel like I feel like I started listening to your podcast like, well, I was still in the military. And I was listening to it. I was listening to it a lot. I feel like I had it definitely was like part of, part of my expansion.
It's interesting. I'm so glad you said that, because when I was in the military and I was doing this podcast, I had no idea what I was doing. I just YouTubed and I was like, I'm about to just have this conversation.
Yeah.
I wasn't checking analytics. I wasn't checking downloads. I wasn't advertising. I wasn't doing the thing. So I'm saying that to say I had no idea who was listening. I had no idea how many people were listening. I had no idea if anybody was listening.
Yeah.
Right. But I knew the conversations had to be had. So what would happen is sometimes a Marine would come to my office. We would do the thing. If I heard and I felt, oh, something's relating to something I spoke about in the podcast, I would say, maybe go to the podcast and listen to this thing. That's how that was happening. But I want to say, though, part of my fear of truly being visible with who I was becoming were people like you, people who I served with, people who knew me in that capacity, people who conversed with me in that capacity, people who came to my office in that capacity. I was really fearful. And so when we reconnected afterwards and I started seeing you, I was like, oh, How did this happen? What does she mean? Like, what is she talking? What does she mean? I want to get a Vedic astrology reading. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm telling you, it was like it was trying to find me, like
you know what I mean?
I was in that toxic relationship, and it was towards the end of that where I kept seeing different people and things that was outside of the box.
Out of the box. And that's what I want to bring to everybody who's listening, right? Like, though I was in my expansion, I was holding people to who they were in my experience. Do you know what I mean? So I was not holding space for the possibility that you may also be expanding, that many people that I served could also be expanding, right? And could also hold space with me in this capacity. And now I have, I've interacted with quite a few people who have also changed, who've also shifted, who've also expanded. And it's, first of all, it's refreshing to me. It's delicious to my soul. But there's a lesson in that I was so fearful that I would be judged and criticized and, and condemned, and that everybody would be so hurt when many of them were also in their own expansion. And so I think it's just
true. I do feel like these fears and doubts just like the fears and doubts always like overtake you until you finally
you face them.
You
face them, you work through them. You move through them, and then on the other side you're like, it wasn't even what I thought in the first place.
Exactly.
So I'm so grateful. And I feel honored to be on this side of the equation with other people who are also who also feel led to be on this side of the equation.
What's interesting too? I had started I think it was when I was at 9th comm. It was during COVID when I started listening to like Joe Dispenza. I started listening to there was another guy I was listening to talking about consciousness, and I was like, this is interesting. And there were so many things. It's all in my book too, but it's like all the things that kind of led me. That's
the other thing. It's like you don't know where it's leading you until you get there, but there are all these different jewels and nuggets along the way that create like these hairline cracks to where you can just bust open.
And so how was that when because you said that your family, you were like the odd one out now after you like was that just a fear that you just finally overcame and was like, well, this is what I have to do?
It's like the way that I describe it is, if you continue to deny yourself, especially to please or prefer other people, their comfort, their desire, you end up spiritually dying. And that is the truth. Why? Because your soul is here to expand. And so if it is wanting to expand, the way I explain it to people, like if it, air in a bottle, if it's wanting to expand, eventually
pressure.
You're gonna feel the pressure until you let it out, or the container breaks. And that is what happens to a lot of people. The container begins to break, right? I.e. the unbearable pain in my neck, right? And how it manifests for other people. Other people manifest, unbearable headaches. They don't know why or where it came from, right? It's the pressure of your soul wanting to expand, wanting to get to the next level of itself, in, whether that's mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. So this was happening to me, and I felt the pressure. If you stay there, you're going to start spiritually dying. And eventually I had to choose, but I chose life over death. I chose spiritual life over death. And I chose myself over the pleasure, the desire, the beliefs of other people. No matter how much they love me or care for me, how much they've done for me, I am becoming, and I'm wanting more than anything to do what I'm here to do, to be who I'm here to be, to give what I'm here to give. So I chose. I chose.
Because I do believe that we are meant to come here and be sovereign beings. And that's why, because we all have our own purpose and what we're meant to do. And it's like, I know with me, like, I had a mother that I had to do everything her way. Everything had to be her way. And so it was just crazy how it manifested later on in a lot of my relationships, where I was molding to other people and what they wanted me to be. But it really was like that toxic relationship that I just broke free. But it came at me. It had to like hit me hard, because it was like my last duty station in the military. I had a toxic boss. Then I was in a toxic relationship, and I didn't even realize my best friend of 13 years had, I knew she had toxic traits, but I think I didn't see the things that she had done to me until I woke up. It was crazy. Like you said, you just see things differently.
Yeah.
It was like I just woke up, and all of a sudden I saw all the things like from the past that I was like, oh my, like, why didn't I see that?
I used to say, coming from a relationship like that gives you superpowers.
Yeah.
And it's not that we would ever go back to that kind of relationship to get them, but the fact is we went through it. And so now we have those superpowers. It does. It opens your eyes. You see things, you interpret things, you perceive things differently. And I used to say, oh, a manipulator, I can see from miles away now. I see you. Listen, I smell you coming from miles and miles away. Right? But it's because of that experience.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, now it's like I can see, the way I see it, it's just like, oh yeah, no one has a chance to, and I had to go through that whole like losing of people too. So you go through that space where it's like some people fall away. But I used to be scared of losing people. And so it was really just finally I got to that point where I didn't care anymore.
Yeah. It takes that, I think. It takes getting to that point.
Yeah.
But
so tell me some of the I guess some of the clients you've worked with and like success stories that you have.
Oh man. Oh. Oh my goodness. So right now, I run a group called the Goddess Collective, and it's a 3-month cohort, and just the transformations, the expansions, true to form, just as we were talking about. I had no idea that "17 years ago, I was teaching at an academy that was from my religious denomination. later I'd kind of distanced myself from some of the friends of that era because I'm apostate now, right? Like I'm in all the things that we preached against, that we taught against. And one of them, who was really a great friend of mine, beginning of last year, she's like, I think I want a Reiki session, and I think you're the only person that can do it. Which was such a great honor for me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like just like me and you, like I never ever in my wildest dreams and imagination thought that this would be something that she would even consider.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been working with me ever since. We've done the 6-month program. She's in the collective. Her expansion has been insane. She's recovered her spiritual gifts. She's always been a sort of a medium when people are transitioning, after death. She's recovering that gift. She's recovering clairvoyance. She's recovering interpreting of dreams. She has changed her whole business model. She is letting go, which was the biggest thing for her, completely shed and let go of what people think. As she moves forwards and makes decisions. You already know how big that is. It's huge.
Yeah.
And so now working her own tools, her manifestation tools, her oracle cards and all the things, she is free. She is more and more spiritually free. I bring her up because never, like I said, in my wildest imagination would I think she would be even near this work, much less doing this work with me, much less the expansion that she's experienced in this time. Has just been, I just can't even speak of it. And I'm honored and I am grateful. I'm running right now what I call the summer sprint magic, where people get to come and work with me for a month. Yeah, it's a month, and it is a sprint, and it is intense. So we're doing the energy work, the manifestation work. We're really working on what needs to go in order to manifest something that they're specifically working on. And I have a client that came in. It's funny because she came in and she was like, I don't even really know why I'm coming. I don't really know what I want to work on, but I just feel I know I need to be here. And in our first session, after doing Reiki and some meditation work and some things, she understood where her career is shifting to and where her next level of purpose is and how she wants to manifest that. And the wealth for that. That in itself was worth the whole program for her, because she knew that she was expanding out of where she is. She had no idea where she was going or what the next thing was. And that can be very, of course, uncomfortable, right? Confusing, painful for a lot of people. And my daughter, I apologize. And so for her, that one session was worth the entire month. She's so clear now about what the vision is and where she's going. And so we get to do the continued work towards that, but just simply amazing. I have another client who, and this is true for most of my clients, they've done the business coaching. They've done the business coaching. They've done the mindset coaching. Sorry. They've done they've done a lot of coaching, and now they really understand, okay, this is the next step for me, the energy work. So she came in and she has said publicly multiple times, working with Latoya, even though I'm not a business coach, but working with Latoya is in fact the best thing I've ever done for my business. And the reason why is because she has come into a new discovery of her own God energy, of who she really is, of the frequency she's really vibrating at, and being able now to navigate all the voices that come at us, right? Like all the coaches are like, okay, this formula works, this messaging works, this works, and not really giving space for how you're designed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's one thing I've realized is, we each came here with a human design, an astrological chart.
Right.
Like all of those things are real. And to the T of like who I am is crazy too. Because I told you I got because I had the chart reading from you, and then I got a human design from somebody else, and then I've actually been working with a sacred geometry mentor. And so I feel like I've been getting it really is all about the energy inside you when it comes to manifesting money and love and all that stuff.
It really is. And the reason is because we are energy. Thanks, Willa. My daughter just came to make a ring on my, on my finger. Yeah, we are energy, and we have discovered that now biophysically. We literally are just a community of vibrating cells, vibrating, energy, and we're coming into the true understanding of that. And so that's why I've always said, if we are in fact energy, why would we not want to understand it more, work with it more? It's who we are. It's who we are.
Everybody's made of energy, so everything is made of energy. Yeah.
Everything. So if you're like, okay, I want to understand my hair more, right? I understand my face more. I want to understand my skin more, right? Whatever it is, I want to understand my digestive system more. This is great. There are tools for all of that. And all of that is still energy.
Yeah.
So we could even go a step deeper and understand ourselves on the energetic level.
Yeah, that definitely is something. Because I came into the spirituality through science, really. Because I was the type I was a truth seeker. Like I was like, I need to know the truth. And so science has all these, science-backed they have all this science-backed evidence now that like we create our reality.
Right. I was just telling my collective today, quantum used to be a theory. It isn't anymore.
Yeah.
We understand it's not a theory. It is in fact our reality.
Yeah, that's what. So I've become such a nerd when it comes to quantum physics, and so I don't even. It's like when even trying to date, it's like if I can't talk about parallel realities and stuff with you, like it's not gonna work.
Which makes sense, right? Because you want to be with someone who is aligned.
Yeah, it's like I'm obsessed with it now. That's all I really listen to, or I mean it's neurology, quantum physics, and now I'm actually in a master's program for consciousness. And I didn't even know they had it until I was like, let me just search for it and see if they have it. Because so when I got out of the military, I was like, maybe I'll just go be a PE teacher. And so I actually started doing schooling for a credential program with my GI Bill. And then I had this awakening, and it was like, wait, no, you're not doing that anymore. So I had to
I love that.
But it's just crazy how things happen.
It is. It is. I love that. And all the clues along the way, little breadcrumbs along the way.
Right. Yeah. I'm so glad that you came on to my podcast today too, because it definitely is like, it close to my heart because we, serve together and everything. And so it's just, I love to see you doing your thing. And I can tell that there's a lot of women that I look up to you. So there's a lot of women that look up to you, and I really do. I really do believe like you were like the catalyst, because I saw how you got out and just emerged into that. I was like, I love that. Like, that's so amazing. Because I feel like in the military, people are so scared to like get out. And
absolutely.
Yeah, like they're just I need this stability and the paycheck. And like so many people tried to convince me to stay for the 20 years. They're like, you're at 14. Why would you get out now?
Yeah. and what's your answer?
And I was really like, well, at the time when people kept doing that, I just knew with everything in me that I was like, no, I'll be okay. Like I'm going to start these businesses. And even though a lot of people doubted, like, oh yeah, sure. And, a lot of people doubt because they don't see it in themselves yet.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say that a lot of us, when we hold the vision, you're going to encounter the doubt because it's your vision. It's not theirs, and they can't see it. And we're wired to doubt or be skeptical at what we can't see, or conditioned rather. So yeah, we're going to experience that doubt for sure. I experienced it too. And I love that you said that, because it really comes down to that conviction within, because it, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to leave, when you're that close, and all the benefits and the security, all the matrix things that are offered.
Right. Out of everything, making decisions out of fear, basically fear-based decisions.
Yes.
And that's where now I'm at a point where like I do not make any more decisions based off of fear.
So it's like quicksand. Making decisions out of fear is like quicksand. And I think also still equivalent to spiritually dying, because that's not who your soul came here to be.
Yeah. And then that's when is once you start to really trust that the universe has your back, and then you really start to see the things manifest, it's like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And it's crazy too, because religion does talk a lot about having faith, but they don't really know what having true faith is.
It's fear-based faith.
Yeah.
Which again is quicksand. Right? It's like, have faith or else. Right? Or else. This is going to happen to you. And true faith doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, in most organized religions, faith is always a calling to a power outside of yourself, right? In many, and I would say most organized religions, even those same religions, their spiritual texts say, no, the power is within you. So I have encountered that so many times where it's like they can't even experience love for themselves because of serving and only wanting the love of a God that they fear.
Yeah, that was another thing that actually just came into my head before you said that.
Yeah.
the God-fearing, that whole God-fearing thing. And it's like, but the real creator doesn't want us to fear him. Like, what? I mean, I don't even want to call it a him anymore. Like,
right. Which I don't.
Changing. I call it well, I guess I call it source, our energy source.
Yeah, I say source too.
I say source.
Because
to me, God is such a small word for what it actually is.
Agreed. Agreed. And it carries so much baggage to me.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I feel like I have a negative connotation with the word God. Maybe that's
I was
why.
just gonna say, it carries so much baggage for me, so much weight, so much, because of how the word has been used, and used to manipulate and suppress and and capture and mentally enslave. I don't use it because I don't want to be associated with that.
Yeah.
And so I use the word source because like you, for me, that's even more of the essence. Sometimes I say divine intelligence. I was gonna say, one of my clients, she says Godiverse, that she,
Godiverse.
Godiverse, which I love when she says it. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one,
That's funny.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I just couldn't bring myself to call it God. So
yeah, I feel that.
But so let's see. Closing wisdom question. I ask everybody this question, but so with everything that you've come into and found, like, what is one truth that you would say about our divinity?
Our divinity?
Yeah, our divinity. That you would want people to know, the listeners.
Yeah. What we are coming to know with quantum is that the observer matters. The observer matters. So what I mean by that is we as God energy, as divine intelligence, our observance of a thing or what we're wanting to manifest, or what we're deciding is true, it matters. Our thought creation matters. Our perspective matters. The lens through which we see, it matters. So that being said, we are creating. I've just been talking to the collective about this. We are creating all the time. We are constantly, continually creating, because through quantum, we're thought creating. And this is true. So if we're thinking doubt or fear or question, or we're creating. And so it's important for us to realize that as divinity, we are creating. And so we've got to be really conscious about what we're creating. Because we've always said we got to be careful about what we think. Right? But it's deeper than that. The reason, we've always said
why.
Right. We've always said, there's a quote, you got to be careful because what you think becomes your words, what your words become your actions become your habits, right? That's also true in the 3D. But it's deeper than that. It's more complex than that. What we're thinking, we are creating. We're literally in thought creation in quantum field all the time. This is not a passive life. We get to fully let go of it happened. This passive tense, it didn't happen. We are creating, and we are co-creating. And once we fully come into this realization,
we can change the world.
We can change the world. We can change the world.
It's crazy being on this side of things too, though, because it's like I literally see where there's like millions of people now creating new Earth.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing. And just imagine, the more of us expanding, the more of us thinking this way, the more of us vibrating higher frequency. It's necessary. We need it.
Yeah, definitely. It was like once I started vibrating higher, I literally saw like a physical change in everything around me. Like the people, it was like I was getting their higher vibrational versions, and it was crazy.
Yeah, and yeah, I know it's a closing thought, but what I am teaching is that to our detriment, we have been conditioned to think these are miracles, right? These things that happen, they're miracles. And when we think that way, then we think, oh, it's once in a blue moon, it's once in a lifetime, it happens, it's coincidentally, right? Because it's a miracle. But if we're creators, it's not a miracle. We get to normalize the synchronicities and these happenstances and these things. We create that. So that's the one truth that I impart to everybody listening.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the truth. That's in my heart.
Okay, and then if anybody wanted to get a hold of you to work with you, what is your information that you want to give out?
Yes, let's make it easy. I am at Coach Latoya Z. So I'm at Coach Latoya Z. That's Facebook. That's LinkedIn. You can message me, DM. I'm with the personal communication. Let's talk. Let's converse. Let's create together. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then I'll put your information in the description as well. So
thank you.
Okay, well, we will end it there for today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been
beautiful.
Having you on here
Thank
too.
you. Thank you for what you are creating. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.